Hello networkers, and welcome back to another episode for Ask the Network Engineer. If you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. And if you have any questions about being a network engineer, post those at routehub.net/ANE. That's very important. I want to make sure that I really want to communicate that so that if there's questions that I'm not answering from previous comments, make sure that you're posting them at that website. And also support us at routehub.net. We got a lot of great training that is out there. Our latest training is for Citrix SD-WAN. I'm a big fan of this product. We did a lot of good customer deployments, and it is the best product to learn about SD-WAN compared to other products out there, which have a big hassle of just trying to learn about SD-WAN in the first place with their trials and evaluations. That might be a different episode. But in this episode, I want to answer one of the questions, which would be pretty quick. And this was a question that got 0 votes. You guys didn't have any interest of this being a topic. And I found it very interesting because this is the future. So I said, that question is, how do I get into network programmability with Python as a network engineer? They got 0 votes. None of you voted on that. So I said, okay, well, I should do episodes based on questions that my viewers want to see. But the fact that they did not want to know about that is either, okay, they probably already know that, right? They were like, yeah, we already know how to do that. We just find training material. Our website has training material on network programmability. We have Python training, we have mini Python training courses out there. So yeah, we have that. And maybe that's how you get into it. There's nothing more to say about it, okay? But I felt like that wasn't how I interpreted it for the first time. I felt like that maybe they feel like that isn't something that is important to them to know. Like, programming isn't something that I want to do. That's not, I don't see that in the future. I'll just focus on the certifications. And that was something I found interesting because in the future, programmability is where it's going to be, whether you like it or not. And it's really about what your job is going to be and how it's going to be displaced. So when I kind of look at like what network engineers do, and I see what they study for, and I see it on many different websites, and I see questions that people ask, I really feel like that there are different phases for network engineers and how they do things. I really feel like that people in the beginning, they're focused on certifications. That is it. They're focused on their ccna, maybe their ccnp a little bit, and maybe they start getting to the ccie. But they only focus on the certifications, okay? They're not really worried about learning about different vendor products like firewalls, and they're definitely not getting into programming or programmability. That's not their thing. That's not something that a person starting out would do. Furthermore, a person starting out will be looking for tips and suggestions as well for how they can get into the field for being a network engineer. So I feel that many of my subscribers on this channel are people who are starting out. They're starting out, they are getting into networking, or they want to get into networking, and they're looking for advice for how to get there. So yeah, you probably watch my videos on programming, but you're like, maybe one day I can start looking at that. But that isn't something that interests me now, which I get it. You got to start somewhere. You got to have the foundation, which I have said many times before. Well, when you do that, then you start becoming a mid-level network engineer, and then eventually a advanced level engineer. And I kind of feel that maybe a lot of my subscribers are not mid-level or advanced level engineers, because I think that typically, why would they go to my channel to listen to tips and advice when they have that same level of experience? They may have different experiences and different feedback that they can provide. But why would they want to hear feedback on something? Because my feedback is really for people who are starting out. And I think that's a big deal for me because no one did that for me. It was very clear that network engineers kept things to themselves. Sharing things was not something that is what they did. It wasn't something that was important to them. And I just wanted to break down that wall and say no. How about about being a mentor and kind of sharing what you enjoy and providing tips? And I think the feeling is that if you're revealing our secrets, then they're going to take our jobs. No one's taking my job, because there's a lot of jobs out there, a lot of opportunities out there, and I have a lot of experience out there. So I never felt threatened that what I'm providing is that you're going to take my jobs away from me. Remember, it's about location, 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 location. I'll keep saying that. If you live in an area that has a lot of opportunities, that's not a problem. If you live in a location where jobs are very limited, if any, for networking, then yeah, that's going to be more challenging for you. But you will have to make different decisions if that's particularly the case. So that's really what I kind of interpreted with why nobody voted for that particular question. I think that most of my viewers are people who are starting out, and that many of you are probably not the seasoned 10-year plus network engineers that are watching my channel, because you don't need to listen to my kind of advice because you're already in that position to begin with. And if you're doing programming, then you'll probably find a way of how to do it. You already know how to learn something new. For example, for me, right? By the end of this year, I will be a 20-year CCIE, which means I will have 20 plus years of networking experience. I don't look at other YouTubers on their channels. I actually don't. I don't look at other YouTube channels of other network engineers or tutorials or things like that. I don't do that. I typically read articles, data sheets, white papers. I get evaluations, and I just learn that way. I never really go to other engineers' channels or pages to watch their content. So, and I don't. And so I'm assuming though that other people who are at my same level are not doing the same thing, because they know how to learn something, because you will figure out what works for you and you will go to that particular path. That's the key thing. Technology will always be new, will keep changing, but how you learn it will not change, okay? If you learn the concepts, if you learn how to design it, you learn best practices, you learn how to configure it, you learn how to support it. That's what it comes down to, is those particular components. You do that, you just replicate it with the new things that keeps coming out. I can also say maybe more of the advanced people will probably collaborate more on like maybe Reddit, but Reddit is not my thing. I'm not a big fan of Reddit. People may also collaborate on LinkedIn, which is actually pretty good. I don't do that too much because it's like social media, and I'm not into social media that much. And there's conferences you can go to, but I don't really go to conferences anymore like I used to, like the Cisco Networker Conference. I never really found the value of all of that. So anyway, though, that's what I just want to talk about in this particular episode, was that looking at no one showing interest in knowing about that particular post about network programmability allowed me to kind of take a step back and understand what my audience is. And even based on the questions, I'm probably having an audience that is just starting out, and programming is really more advanced. And continue doing what you're doing. Do your certifications, get the foundation. You got to have that before you even get to the advanced stuff. So still do that. But eventually, down the road, when you do become a network engineer and you start doing networking projects and have work experience, down the road, make sure that programming is on your list to learn. And I'm not saying that you're going to go back to my channel or to my website to learn that material, okay? But just always keep that nugget in your head that programmability is where I need to make sure I have some experience and working knowledge of that, because in the future, that's going to make things more, that's going to make more opportunities for me as a network engineer, or in this case, as a network developer. And we're done with this episode. If you have any questions about being a network engineer, again, post that at routhub.net/ANE. And until next time, as always, keep networking.